Yeah, so welcome you to this first tutorial of the course. So the house is open for any doubts in the assignment or in the concept. Feel free to ask. First, please put on your videos. Shivani, Amritya, Rajat, Vinay, Muskan, Dhruv. Everybody, please put on your videos. Yeah, any doubts you have? So I have also posted assignment number 2. So try to go through those problems. Those we can discuss next Friday. But we can discuss assignment number 1 and any doubts you might have in any concept that we can discuss today. Anybody? Any doubts?
Sir, regarding the third question that involves sample median and mean, that question, how to approach it, or that would be very helpful if you can give some insight into that.
Okay. So let me share the screen. Problem number 3 you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So problem number 3 says you have a sample of odd sample size 2n plus 1 from normal theta 1. Theta is unknown, so mean is unknown, but variance is known, which is given to be 1. And you have to consider estimation under the loss function L theta A. Find a randomized estimator based on the complete sufficient statistics x bar, which has the same risk function as sample median, right? Now, if you recall, sample median is not a sufficient statistic, right? In the normal case, sufficient statistic is either whole sample or sample mean. So if you recall the result which we did, what we said, if you have any randomized estimator, then you can find a randomized estimator based on a sufficient statistic which is as good as the given estimator. And what you have to do is, you have to consider the expected value of that estimator given x bar, right? The only thing you have to note is estimator is a probability function, right? Because estimator is always given in terms of a probability function. So what it means is, here it is given to be a sample median. Now, what kind of an estimator sample median is? It is a randomized estimator or non-randomized estimator? Anyone? Sample median is a randomized estimator or non-randomized? It's obvious, right? What is the difference between randomized and non-randomized? Then only you'll be able to understand. No? What is the difference between a randomized estimator or non-randomized estimator? I have been very forcefully and very vigorously telling the difference in the last 2 discussion hours. Yeah? Anybody?
Sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, in the result involving the equivalence of risk of 2 estimators given a sufficient statistic Tx, I think we can take both randomized or non-randomized estimators.
No, that is okay, but I am first asking a very basic question. What is the difference between a randomized estimator and non-randomized estimator? There is a basic difference, right? And then
there is no second stage of randomization in case of non-randomized.
So there is no second stage of randomization. So in general, what you do is you define an estimator, which is nothing but a randomized estimator. A randomized estimator, what it does is after observation has been taken, that means after data has been collected, it immediately doesn't take any action. It doesn't give you an estimator. It does one stage of randomization. So it generates an observation from a given distribution, which depends on X, what you have observed. And it takes that as an estimator. What happens in the non-randomized? The moment you have observed X, you immediately tell what is the estimator. You don't go for a further randomization, right? So for example, non-randomized estimator can be treated as a randomized estimator, where for every X, the randomized distribution which you use to generate the observation is degenerate, right? So for example, when I say sample median is what? It is a randomized or non-randomized? After observation has been taken, it says you just take sample median. There is no randomization required, right? It says you take sample median. Now, one example could have been, after observation has been taken, calculate the sample median, don't take the action immediately, generate one observation from a normal distribution having mean same as the observed sample median. That is a randomized estimator, right? Because after sample median has been observed, you generate one observation from a normal population using your computer, which has sample median as the mean, right? Which you can always do. So sample median is a non-randomized estimator. So I have to, and so I have to see what is the probability distribution. Probability distribution is it is degenerate at sample median. So what is a YX random variable which does the randomization? It is takes only one value, which is sample median with probability 1. It is a degenerate distribution. So let us see if I can. Yeah. So let me share the screen. Can you see the screen? Can everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let me come to this was problem number 3. So problem number 3, actually this is the probability distribution, right? This is a distribution function actually. What does you do? Sample median. What would be the distribution of a distribution function of a random variable which is degenerated at sample median? What is a distribution function of a random variable which is degenerated at a point A or at a point C?
It would be 0 below that point and 1 above from that point onwards.
Estimator is sample median, right? So that means
Yes.
it's a randomized estimator which is degenerate at sample median. Is that okay? What is its distribution function? 0 if A is less than sample median, 1 if A is greater than or equal to sample median. So this is actually delta of minus infinity to A, right? Delta of minus infinity to A given X. I have forgot to write down over here. It should be delta of minus infinity A given X. So let me see if I can. So this quantity, I don't know that it's okay. I think let us not try. So it is a distribution function of the random variable which is degenerated at X tilde. So this is a non-randomized estimator. And what is the corresponding degenerate random variable? It takes only value 1 with probability 1 at A is equal to sample median, right? Is that okay? Are things clear at this point? So your estimator is, in terms of a probability distribution of a randomized estimator, it is 0 if A less than X tilde, 1 if A greater than or equal to X tilde, because it is degenerate at the sample median. What is the corresponding random variable? It takes probability with probability 1, the value sample median, with probability 0, any other value. So the result which we did, what does it says? The desired estimator would be condition this probability measure. That means delta of minus delta naught star of minus infinity to A given X. Take its expected value given complete sufficient statistic, which is X bar. So this same as delta naught of minus infinity to A given X bar is equal to X bar. Actually, this quantity is nothing but this delta naught of minus infinity to A given X. right?
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing but delta naught of minus infinity to a given x. So it says, since it does not depend on a complete sufficient statistic, you can get an estimator which is based on a complete sufficient statistic by conditioning it with respect to complete sufficient statistic. Then this would have a same risk as delta naught minus a given x. So that means you have to find out what is this quantity.
Yes, sir.
And this has been taken with respect to conditional distribution of x given x bar. So what is the delta naught of minus infinity to a given x? Indicator that x delta less than or equal to a.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is I have written down indicator x delta less than or equal to a given x bar is equal to x bar. Which is same as, because you have to take expected value with respect to conditional distribution of x delta given x bar, which is same as probability x delta less than or equal to a given x bar is equal to x bar. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So what you need to find out is, what is this? Now note that x delta minus x bar is ancillary, right? Because x delta is a sample median and x bar is a sample mean. So if you consider the difference, it would be ancillary. I can show you later on how to show a given statistic is ancillary. So I subtract here x bar, but x bar is same as x bar, which is equivalent saying that x delta minus x bar is less than or equal to a minus x bar, because this x bar is same as this x bar. So they will get. Now x delta minus x bar is ancillary. See the arguments given below. And x bar is complete sufficient. So this would be
Independent.
independent of this. So that is why delta naught star minus infinity to a given x, this conditional probability would be same as probability x delta minus x bar is less than or equal to a minus x bar. Right? Which is nothing but g of a minus x bar, where g is the distribution function of x delta minus x bar. Now note that distribution of x delta minus x bar does not depend on mu, because it is ancillary, as we'll show later. So what you get? Your randomized estimator is nothing but distribution function of x delta minus x bar at point a minus x bar. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what does it is? Note that this distribution only depends on x bar, because distribution of x delta minus x bar does not depend on mu. So it only depends on x bar. Of course, a is the point where you're finding the distribution function. So the only parameter here is x bar, which after observing the sample you already know, right? So what is your estimator? Randomized estimator. It says after observing the random variable x, generate an yx observation from a distribution having distribution function g of a minus x bar. Now note that g of a minus x bar depends only on x bar. So using your computer, and x bar value you have already calculated. So using your computer, you can generate one observation from this distribution, and you take that as an estimator, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now part B says suppose for every fixed theta belonging to the loss function is strictly convex in A, find an estimator dominating the sample median. Sample median is a non-randomized estimator. So Rao-Blackwell theorem, you know that if I condition it by complete sufficient statistic, I get a better estimator. So
Yes.
delta given x bar, which is same as I add and subtract x bar. So x bar plus x delta minus x bar given x bar. But given
Bassus theorem.
x bar is constant. So that is same as x bar plus x delta minus x bar given x bar. But x delta minus x bar is ancillary. X bar is complete sufficient. So this conditional distribution would be same as unconditional distribution. Now I would show that x delta minus x bar is 0, because x delta minus x bar distribution does not depend on mu. So you can take as well mu to be 0. So first I saw that x delta minus x bar is ancillary. Right? Now, if you have to theoretically prove it, the easiest way is I look at the original sample x1, x2, xn. I try to apply some transformation on xi's so that distribution of xi does not depend on theta. So you know that x1, x2, x2n plus 1 are IID normal theta 1. So if you abstract them by theta, then the corresponding random variables would be IID normal 0, 1. And that is what. So yi is xi minus theta. I is equal to 1 to 2n plus 1. Then joint distribution of y1, y2, y2n plus 1 would be that of IID normal 0, 1. Their joint distribution would be the product of normal 0, 1s. Their joint PDF. Joint PDF would be product of normal 0, 1, and normal 0, 1 does not depend on any mu or theta. So distribution of y1, y2, yn does not depend on theta, that you know. So in certain sense, I say that y is ancillary. That means its distribution is not depending on theta. I would like to add a word of caution here that normally you use ancillary for a statistic, but here yi's are not a statistic because they depend on theta. But here I'm using ancillary in a general sense. That means any random variable whose distribution does not depend on theta. So here when I'm saying y is ancillary, it means that joint distribution of y1, y2, yn does not depend on theta. So what I try to do now is I have to show that x tilde minus x bar is ancillary. So I try to write down x tilde minus x bar in terms of yi's. If it is only a function of yi's, then it would be ancillary. Why? Because y is ancillary. So any function of y would be ancillary because if distribution of y does not depend on theta, distribution of any function of y will not depend on theta. So I write down what is x tilde minus x bar. X tilde minus x bar is nothing but median of x tilde was median of x1, x2, x2n plus 1. So which is same median of x1 is nothing but y1 plus theta. So median of y1 plus theta, y2n plus 1 theta minus 1 upon n summation xi, which is same as yi plus theta. Is that okay? Median of y1, y2, y2n plus 1 is same as y tilde. And 1 upon n summation yi plus theta would get cancelled with this theta because there n theta upon n will come. So that will get cancelled with this theta and you get only y bar. So x tilde minus x bar is same as y tilde minus y bar. And distribution of y does not depend on theta. So that means distribution of T1 does not depend on theta. So it is ancillary. Right? So ancillary, normally these are general method of proving ancillary. In the original model, you try to find out some transformation whose distribution does not depend on theta, as was happening in the normal case. If x1, x2, xn are normal theta 1, then x1 minus theta, x2 minus theta, and x2n plus 1 minus theta are IID normal 0, 1. So joint distribution of y1, y2, y2n plus 1. Now how do you show that expected value of T1 is 0? Because that is where, I have used over here. Expected value of x tilde minus x bar is 0. Again, y1, y2, y2n plus 1, because y1, y2, yn are IID normal 0, 1. If y is normal 0, 1, then minus y is also normal 0, 1. So that means if y1, y2, y2n plus 1 are IID normal 0, 1, then minus y1, minus y2, minus y2n plus 1 are also IID normal 0, 1. So that means distribution of y1, y2, y2n plus 1 would be same as distribution of minus y1, minus y2, minus y2n plus 1. So that means distribution of median of y1, y2, y2n plus 1 would be same as the distribution of median of minus y1, minus y2, minus y2n plus 1. What is the median of y1, y2, y2n plus 1? It is the middlemost of this, which is nothing but y tilde. What is the median of minus y1, minus y2, minus y2n plus 1? It would be the middlemost over here. That means minus of yn plus 1th order statistic. Right? The middle would be just minus of what is the middle over here. So that is same as minus of y tilde. So if y tilde has the same distribution as minus y tilde, I can take the expectation both the sides. They would be same. So that means expected y tilde would be 0. And anyway, y bar you know is normal 0, 1 by n. So expected y bar is equal to 0. You can write down directly. So expected y tilde is 0. Expected y bar is 0. So expected of T1, which is nothing but y tilde minus y bar is 0. Right. So second part, the estimator improving upon the sample median is nothing but x bar. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
Any other doubt? Yes, any other doubt you have? Any other doubt in the assignment or any concept you wish to discuss? Class of roughly 40, right? Nobody has a doubt? Yes, I see so many videos have been put off. Ankit, Amritya, Sivani. I will mark them as absent. If I don't see the video, I'll mark them as absent and then you will be responsible. You're not then, for me, then you're not participating in the online discussion. So Vinay, I am marking you absent. Vinay Kumar Samat, Ankit Gupta, Dhruv Chabra, Vinay Kumar Sharma is, yes, you can't cheat with me, right? I've told you many times, please put on your videos. Bhavna, Udyan, Mr. Udyan, and Miss Bhavna. You see, if next time I'm not going to repeat it. If I see a video of, I'm going to put absent. That's all, as simple as that. I'm not just going to shout all the time. Right? This is not my job. Yeah, any doubts you have?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in the question 6b part, how can we prove the only if part? In the assignment, I am only able to solve the if part, but did not able to solve the only if part. So,
which one? Question?
sir, in question 6b part.
B.
B.
So that a result delta is invariant and only if delta. You see, what is the definition of an invariant rule?
Sir, the only if part I want to prove.
So that's what I'm saying. So let us first try to understand. A decision rule would be invariant if I transform the observation. So that is a transform problem, and the transform actions would be same. So that means delta of probability of taking action A, given that you have observed GCX, should be same as you transform the action. That means GC tilde of delta A, which is equivalent to saying that if in terms of a random variable, your action is Y, right? So the action Y when you have observed GCX, so Y of GCX should be same as if you have taken action based on X, but then transform the action, right? So that should be same as GC tilde of YX, right? So let me, this question is, which one you're saying?
Sir, question 6b part.
Okay, let me see if I can. Okay. (6b). So delta belongs to AI if and only if delta A given X should be same as in the transform problem you're observing GCX, this should be GCX. So your action should also correspondingly transform. That means GC tilde I. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
This is the action in the transform problem. This is observation in the transform problem. This is the observation in the original problem. This is the action in the original problem. So that means in the original problem, action A corresponds to the action GC tilde A in the transform problem. So that is why it should be same.
Yes.
GC tilde A is what? A is any subset. So GC tilde A means every observation has been translated by C. So that means A plus C. Here, note that C is a real number, A is a set. So when I write down A plus C, it means every element of A has been added C. Is that okay?
And sir, we are able to write this because our delta is invariant.
Delta is invariant because this condition, right?
Okay, sir.
This is the condition I want. I'm just now writing down what is a GC tilde A. GC tilde of a point A is same as A plus C. So when I say GC tilde of whole set, it means translate every element of A by point C. That is what I have written down, A plus C. So if you see the problem, I have given a definition of A plus C. A plus C, because A is a set and C is a real number. So I have to define what do you mean by addition of a set with a real number. What it means is that GC tilde has acted on elements of A.
Yeah.
GC
Yes.
tilde has acted on elements of A. That means every element of A has been translated by C. And that is what the definition of A plus C is. Right? And what is GCX? It is nothing but X plus C.
Transformation on X, yes.
In terms of the random variable Yx, Yx is nothing but the random variable which you take as an estimator after randomization. So delta belongs to Di if and only if the action in the transform problem should be same as transformed action. So that means Yx and you transform the action, GC tilde Yx. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yx was the original action,
Yes, sir.
transformed action.
Hmm.
That is should be same as if you consider the transformed observation and take the action, which is same as Y of GCX. Right? But Y of GCX is nothing but Y of X plus C. GC tilde Yx is nothing but Yx plus C. So this one. So so a non-randomized estimator is this, right? And what is you have to show? C part you're saying.
Sir, I am saying the only if part.
So this is
I-
if and only,
This is if part, and yes, this is only if
not
part.
if
Okay.
and only part. These are if and only part. Delta is invariant if and only if this happens.
And sir, for only if part, we should take delta A plus C, conditional X plus C. Then I have to prove that delta is invariant.
No,
I-
any delta which satisfies this is invariant.
Okay.
Is that okay? Because delta is a probability distribution. Any probability distribution which satisfies this property
Okay, sir.
is invariant. Is that okay?
Hmm.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, my internet connection is poor. That's why I am turning off my video.
What is poor?
Internet connection.
Okay. And at least in the beginning and somewhere in the middle, you have to open it, right?
Okay, sir.
But, okay. Any other doubt anybody has?
Sir, part E of question 7.
Part E. Now, what is the definition of a transitivity? When do you say that your group of transformation acts transitively?
If theta 1, theta 2 belongs to script theta, then I should be able to find a function g bar that would relate the two quantity.
So there
So
should,
1 equal to.
there should be exist some G bar C which relates them, right?
Mhm.
Advantage of that is if G bar acts transitively, then risk is always constant, right? R delta, because R delta theta is same as R delta G bar theta. Now let us look at, in this case, what are the elements of G bar? In problem 7, what are the elements of G bar? What is the group of transformations under which problem is invariant? Yeah?
G bar is 1 minus theta.
So there are two transformations. One transformation is the identity map, E theta is equal to theta. The second transformation is G bar theta is equal to 1 minus theta. Is that okay? So let me just go through it for the rest of the class also so that they can understand it. This is problem number 7. So note that you're dealing with a binomial problem. X is a binomial and theta. Now you have to see first of all, for applying the invariance, you have to look at under what class of transformations binomial and theta is invariant. Suddenly, identity map, if x is binomial and theta, x is again binomial and theta because the identity map is ex equal to x. What could be the other transformation? I apply n minus x. Because binomial to binomial I can get only through two ways by applying to on x. Either I apply the identity map x itself, I get a same distribution, or apply n minus x, then n minus x becomes number of failures. Number of failures again is based on a Bernoulli trials. So it will be binomial with probability of success as 1 minus theta. Right now your failure becomes a success. So the binomial distribution is invariant under this group of transformation, which has only two elements. What are the two elements? One is the identity map, and the second map is gx equal to n minus x. Now, what are the corresponding points in the parameter space? Ex takes x to binomial and theta only. So theta remains theta only. So e bar theta is same as theta. So g bar is e bar and g bar. And what is the g bar theta? If I apply n minus x, my theta becomes 1 minus theta. So my g bar theta is nothing but 1 minus theta. Right? Now, since I have to see what should be the transformation in my xn spaces, I am estimating theta. Under e bar, theta remains theta. Under e bar, theta remains theta. So that means under e tilde, my xn should not change. So that is why e tilde a is same as a. But under g bar, theta goes to 1 minus theta. So the thing which you want to estimate goes to 1 minus theta. So my xn should also change. So g tilde a should be same as 1 minus a. Now under this transformation, you can see that your loss function is w of a minus theta. So that is invariant. So estimation problem is invariant. It says what should be the form of a randomized invariant rule. So delta of a given x should be same as delta transformed xn transformed variable. Transformed xn is nothing but g tilde a is nothing but 1 minus a, because identity map will always satisfy this, because your g has only two elements, identity and g. So g tilde a is 1 minus a, gx is nothing but n minus x. So this should always be happening. So if yx is a random variable corresponding to delta given x, then y of gx should be same as g tilde of yx. Y of gx is nothing but y of n minus x should be same as g tilde of yx is nothing but 1 minus yx. Right? So any randomized estimator should satisfy this. Delta of n minus x is same as 1 minus delta x. That is what I have said. Any non-randomized estimator should satisfy this. Any randomized estimator should satisfy this property, where 1 minus a is again same as 1 minus points of a. Now, for any delta belonging to, yeah.
Sir, what is the motivation behind this? That I am making capital G is small g and h.
No, what
means how means I am saying how we are forming such capital G. What is the motivation behind it?
No. So as I said, you see, the motivation is principle of invariance. I said, if you are dealing with the two same estimation problems, same estimation problem means your set of probability distributions is the same, estimate is the same, then you would like to use the same estimator in both the problems, right? And it should not depend on unit of measurements. So that means if original observation was x and you have applied some unit change of unit through cx plus d or through some transformation gx, if my probability distribution does not change, then my estimator should only, I should get only through changing those units, not through anything else. So that is the motivation. So that means for invariance, the first thing you have to see is whether your probability distribution is invariant under certain group of transformations or not, right? So that means if you change the unit, you still remain in the same estimation problem, because set of probability distribution is same. So if you're estimating normal, you're again in the norm. So in the binomial distribution, I try to look at what are the transformation I apply so that I remain in the binomial itself. I see there are only two possibilities, Ex equal to x or Gx is equal to n minus x. Right? If we apply that, I see in the case of E, my theta changes to theta. And in case of G, theta changes to 1 minus theta. So my problem is invariant. And what does this group of transformation change does? It changes theta to theta under E, changes theta to 1 minus theta under Gx equal to n minus x. So that means these two problems, one is based on the observation x, one is based on observation n minus x. The estimation problem correspond, except that in one place you are estimating theta, other place you are estimating 1 minus theta.
1 minus.
Right? So the estimator should correspond. And that is what is happening over here, if you look at. In terms of randomized estimator delta of n minus x, that means if your estimator is based on n minus x, it should be 1 minus theta. So 1 minus estimator of the original form. So that is how the invariance is coming. Now, to the question that whether G bar acts transitively. G bar acts transitively means I take any two theta 1 and theta 2. I should be able to relate it through some G bar. Now here I look at any two theta 1 and theta 2. My parameter space is 0, 1. So I take any point theta 1, theta 2 in 0, 1. The question is, there are only two G's. So whether theta 1 is same as theta 2 under the identity map or theta 1 is same as 1 minus theta 2. Only then I can relate it through some G, because there are only two elements in the group of transformation G bar, either the E bar or G bar. E bar is theta, G bar is 1 minus theta. So if I take any two elements theta 1 and theta 2, G bar would act transitively only when theta 1 is either same as theta 2 or theta 1 is same as 1 minus theta 2. Otherwise it cannot act transitively. So I take the example theta 1 is equal to 1 by 2 and theta 2 is equal to 3 by 4. Neither theta 1 is same as theta 2, nor theta 1 is same as 1 minus theta 2. So here G bar does not act transitively. So here I cannot say that risk function is constant. The only thing I can say is R delta theta is same as R delta G bar theta.
Sir, how do you prove the C part?
Which C part?
This C part in this question.
Because non-randomized estimator is nothing but this degenerate random variable. Non-randomized estimator Y becomes a degenerate random variable. It takes only one value. So that means delta. So that means delta based on n minus x should be same as 1 minus delta based on x. Yx is nothing but delta x in that case, non-randomized estimator. Is that okay? Because in non-randomized estimator, this random variable is degenerate. Yn minus x takes only one value, or Yx takes only one value, which we call as a delta x. So Yn minus x, that means it takes only one value, which we call as delta of n minus x, which is same as 1 minus Yx takes only one value, which is delta of x. So any non-randomized estimator would have this form. For example, x by n satisfies this, right? X by n. X by n, if you apply n minus x upon n, which is nothing but 1 minus x by n. So which is 1 minus delta of x, right? So x by n satisfies this. So any non-randomized estimator would have this form. Any randomized estimator, which is a probability distribution, should satisfy this. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Why G bar does not act transitively? Because if G
Yes, sir.
bar act transitively, there were only two elements in G bar. Then I should be able to write down theta 1 either as E bar theta or theta 1 as G bar theta 2. That means theta 1 is same as either theta 2 or theta 1 is either same as 1 minus theta 2. So that means if theta 1 and theta 2 are such that they are neither equal nor their difference is 1, then theta 1, theta 2 would not be acting transitively. Now since my theta 1, theta parameter space is whole 0, 1, I can always choose 2 points such that they are neither same nor their difference between them is 1. So they are not connected through any G bar. There is no G bar such that theta 1 is same as G bar of theta 2. So they do not act transitively. So that is why in this case risk will not be a constant of any invariant rule. Right? So in this case, finding a best invariant rule may again be difficult, right? Because risk is again depending on theta. Now you have to minimize the risk at every theta. Okay, any other doubt?
Sir, for any G that we are particularly considering here, any G transformation, so we are getting some G bar and G tilde.
Right. G,
Now,
G tilde, I guess what should be G tilde. For example, in the normal case, if I'm estimating theta,
yeah,
if I'm estimating normal theta, so group of transformation I see. So first thing which I see is what transformation I apply in X so that I remain again in the normal family.
yes, sir.
So in the normal theta 1 case, if I apply X plus C, I again remain in normal theta, except that my mean gets changes, right, to theta plus C. Now note that if you are having a normal theta 1, is it invariant under AX plus B?
No, sir, because it would be multiplied by some A and the mean would totally change and the variance will also change in that case.
No, mean changing is not a problem because mean can be anything in real life.
Yes,
Theta
yes.
plus B can be anything in real life. But
The main thing is variance changing.
my distribution which I have considered the normal density, my variance was 1. With AX,
yes, sir.
power is changing to A square. So that means I am going to a different distribution. So it will not be invariant under AX plus B. So it will be only invariant under X plus C. Right? So it is invariant under normal X plus C. Now under transformation GCX equal to X plus C, what happens to the normal? It becomes normal theta plus C. So if X had a distribution normal theta 1, X plus C has a normal theta plus C 1. So your G bar C theta, that means theta gets transformed to theta plus C under GC. So you write down
Yes,
G
sir.
bar theta as theta plus C. Now you are estimating theta. Now you,
Yes, sir.
when you apply the transformation, theta gets transformed to theta plus C. So where should your xn transform to? If original xn was your theta, because original xn you are estimating theta. Since my estimate has translated by plus C, my xn should also get translated by plus C.
Right. Yes.
By GC tilde A, I guess as A plus C. That is a reasonable thing to do.
So, sir, it is not necessary that G bar C and G tilde A have kind the same form. It means it totally depends on the problem that how our G.
So, for example, if you are estimating theta square.
Yes, sir.
If you are estimating theta square and suppose you have a loss function so that your problem is invariant, right? Then theta gets translated to theta plus C. So theta square gets translated to theta plus C square.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? So that means in the original problem, if xn was A, what should be the xn in the transform problem?
Theta plus A plus C.
Yes.
Square, right? Yes.
Plus C whole square. So in this case, GC tilde A would become A plus C square, which is different from G bar C theta. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
What you have to see is what is the natural way of deriving the xn in the transform problem. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please repeat last point.
So you see, group of transformations you guess. For example, in the normal case, normal theta 1 case, I guess the transformation to be X plus C because my variance was 1. In the set of distributions which I was considering, variance was 1. So I considered X plus C so that the variance doesn't change. Mean can change because my mean is unknown, which can take any value in real life. So when I am applying X plus C, I'm still in the normal theta family with a variance 1, right? So I see what is the transformation taking place in the parameters. DCX, which translate X to X plus C, transform parameters theta to theta plus C because X plus C has a normal theta plus C 1. So theta gets changed to theta plus C. So your G bar C theta becomes theta plus C, right? Now my question was, xn also you test, try to guess. So if you are estimating only theta, right? So if in the original problem, since you are estimating theta and your xn was a, what should be the xn in the transform problem? Because the transform problem, theta has become only theta plus c. So my xn should be a plus c in the transform problem. If original problem xn was a plus c should be my problem in the transform problem. So gc tilde a should be a plus c. Now question is if you are estimating theta square, right? So theta square in the transform problem is theta plus c whole square. Is that okay? Now the question is, when will you say that a problem is invariant? First of all, loss function has to be invariant. For loss to be invariant, what should happen is L,
The structure should be
L
same.
theta A should be same as L g bar c theta g c tilde A. What is L theta A? So that means L theta A is L theta A. L of g bar c theta is theta plus c. And what is a g c tilde A? Now I have to identify what should be g c tilde A. If in the original problem, I was estimating theta square. So my xn is A, suppose. In the transform problem, theta has become theta plus c whole square. That means theta square was the original problem estimate. So it has become theta square plus twice c theta plus c square. So A has transformed to A square plus twice c. Theta I do not know where it transforms to. Because original problem xn was theta square. So this theta I cannot write in terms of theta square. Is that okay? So that is why there will be a problem of invariance when you are estimating theta square. Is that clear? Because you are not able to write down the two xn's. You are not able to correspond to xn's over here. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because you see, when you are estimating theta square, if original problem xn is A, in the transform problem, theta has become theta plus c whole square. So I should be able to write down this in terms of the xn of the original. Xn of the original depends on the theta square, because theta square corresponds to A. So I should be, that means, able to write down this theta plus c whole square, everything in terms of a theta square. Right? Which I am not able to do. Because theta plus c whole square, if I write down, it becomes theta square plus 2 theta c plus c square. Theta square is not a problem because theta square was an xn in the original problem. So gc tilde would have a because it corresponds, theta square corresponds to a. C square is a constant, so that is also not a problem. A square plus c square plus 2c theta. Now this theta I should be able to write down in terms of theta square, which corresponds to the xn. Then only I'll be able to write down this. But theta I cannot write down in terms of a theta square unless I know the sign. Okay. Now another thing which will give you more insight into invariance is, suppose you consider normal theta 1 family, right? And I know that theta is positive, so my parameter space is not whole real line, but theta from 0 to infinity. Can you give me a set of transformations under which problem is invariant? You see, still I am in the normal family. The only change which has taken place is, now I am talking about x plus c rather than, so the only difference is my parameter space is 0 to infinity.
Sir, we can then also take x plus c, but c has now to be on the positive side of the real line.
Okay.
Then
Suddenly c cannot be whole real line because you will get a g bar c theta as theta plus c. And if theta was positive, theta plus c could be negative. So you will get a normal distribution with a negative mean, right? So suddenly c cannot be whole real line. So that's an intelligent guess that you try to see whether G bar C is equal to X plus C, C greater than or equal to 0 works.
Hmm.
Is that okay? So first of all, is it a group of transformations? First of all, there is an identity map, C is equal to 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an inverse?
Is there an inverse? G.
No, because the inverse will become that minus C. That will,
Minus C. Yeah.
it doesn't become even a group of transformations.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't become invariant under this. So you see, invariance depends on the parameter space, you set of distributions, and you can apply the invariance principle only when all that holds. So normal theta 1, given that theta greater than or equal to 0, invariance cannot be applied.
Yes.
Right? So invariance principle is useful when your problem has a nice structure, as it happens in normal theta 1, exponential, any scale family, and so on. So that is all for this week. We'll have this discussion over coming Wednesday. So be prepared with your doubts, any doubts you have. Try to go through your assignments. Some of you have not uploaded the assignment sheets. Please do that. So see you coming Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, bye for now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye for now.